It makes them feel like an alpha male. And they're actually like Pinocchio, right? He says, I want to be a little boy. They're saying, I want to be a real man. So they spend their entire adult life trying to be a real man. And they fill it with pew-pews. They fill it with throwing down fists. They fill it with having 800 million American flags, owning the libs, voting for Republicans to own the libs, calling me being paid for by George Soros. But look at his demographic. When you go to like Tesla rallies, what do you see? Combat boots, military fatigue, big beards, waving 800 million American flags, having a pet bald eagle on their shoulder, because they're insecure little boys. What happened to a lot of these men is they never learned how to be real men. They never learned how to have healthy masculinity. They weren't picked in pickball. They didn't make the baseball team. Maybe their dad didn't show them basic human emotions like love and kindness, and he never gave them a hug because that's not what real men do. So they turn to their most basic of human emotions, right? Look at January 6th. They didn't like the result. So they went to be an alpha male, and they stormed the Capitol, and they beat police officers, and they put up a noose for Mike Pence. Look at the judges and the lawyers they don't like the results of. They leave anonymous voicemails, leaving nasty stuff of what they're going to do to them and come to their house. Look what happened with Nancy Pelosi's husband. This is all they know, because they don't know how to use their words. Most of them can read at a 6th grade level. They don't understand how the economy works. They don't understand that 3 countries own most of our debt. They don't understand if we isolate ourselves to make America first, that it's going to devalue the US dollar. They don't understand it, because they spend their whole life thinking that they're the hammer and everything else is a hammer. Not just politically, having a conversation, having a discussion, relationships, work, sporting events. How many times do you see men in Little League Baseball, that's not a strike, yelling at umpires? They don't fundamentally know how to lose because they view it as weakness. Instead of using it as an opportunity to teach their sons, you know what, son, you did your best. Let's go home and work harder. They don't. Their only measure of success is to finish first. And even that's not enough. That's why when the president won, the convicted felon won, they were still angry, because it was never about winning. It was about the fight. It was about owning the libs, making themselves feel like a real man, an alpha male. I'm not a sheep. They're never going to be happy in their life. And when you look at their friendships, most of them are just like them. They're doppelgangers. They're all insecure little boys that want to be real men. They ignored what happened to Gene Carroll. He was found liable in a court of law. They ignored the infidelities to his wives, nominating Matt Gaetz, who lied with children. They overlooked RFK, that has worm brains and cheated on all of his wives. They overlooked Pete Hegseth, who had multiple women out of wedlock. They overlooked all the misogyny and the sexism because they wanted him to be an alpha male. He makes them feel a certain way. Listen to them on lives. They don't care about facts. They want to feel like their version of a real man, of an alpha male. And pew-pews make them feel that way. It makes them feel like the hunter. And I'm starting to see that divide between some of the women in this country and the men. And they're saying, you know what? I want to be a CEO. I don't want to just stay at home and make you a baby. I'm not a baby incubator. This isn't The Handmaid's Tale. And those guys that are being left behind, they don't know what to do with themselves. They feel lost because they keep listening to people like Charlie Kirk who tell them to maintain the patriarchy, that that's their place. They listen to people like Joe Rogan, who are the bros, and all of these other toxic males, because they don't view women as equal. My wife is my best friend. I cook, I clean, I do the dishes. I'm also the protector. I also work for a living. Both things can be true. And with a lot of these wannabe alpha males, There's no balance. It's, I'm the hammer and you're the nail. And I'll leave you with a story. In the movie Doctor Strange, he has a stone called the Time Stone, and he gets to turn back time about 30 seconds or a minute. And he's fighting this being called Dormammu. And Dormammu is far superior than him. And he keeps unaliving him over and over and over again. And Doctor Strange keeps regenerating because of the Time Stone. And Dormammu goes, well, what's happening? He's like, well, we're stuck in this time. And Dormammu says, well, you're going to lose. He's like, you can't win. He goes, yeah, but I can lose over and over and over again. But the people of Earth will be safe. See, that's what true masculinity is. It's about standing up for people. It's not about winning. It's standing up for people that you don't know. Winning is not the only option. It is not the only solution. There's a lot more to being a man than winning. Your wife, your girlfriend, your mom, women are equals, and in many cases, they're greater than us when it comes to business. You can still be the maintainer of the house. You can still be the protector, but you can also give your kid a hug. You can show them how to lose. You don't need a pew-pew to be a real man. That's not what defines you. And if it is, then you should take a look in the mirror. Have a good day.